Good Saturday moaning, Saturday coffee moaners. How are we all? Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are things? Just before we get going, I'm not going to talk too much about personal stuff because we want to crack on with the news, but for everyone who's part of the community, Nanny Di is stable. I am seeing her again this afternoon, and hopefully we'll be able to give you yet more updates on her health. She's still being held in, she's still having tests done, but thank you so much. She is stable, which is good. And also, just so that you know, some housekeeping regarding what's going on both this channel, but also in terms of podcasts. I will be doing at 4 o'clock UK time. I'm doing a live chat with the Harvard professor Avi Loeb as an update, a catch up on the Interstellar Object 3I Atlas, as it is only 6 days away from being at its closest position in regards to Earth, which is still many millions and millions and millions of miles away. But so you don't need to worry about that. It's not going to hit us, but it's at its closest point. So we're going to talk about where we're at. Could it be extraterrestrials? Could it be a organic thing that's about to seed life on Earth, or is it heading to Jupiter and all those kind of things? So we're going to be catching up. That's going to be live. That's going to be at 4 p.m. on this channel. And also, obviously, 11 o'clock this morning, not on podcast, but on the YouTube channel, we will be live with the Curly Cooks cooking up a storm in the kitchen. I hope everyone's well. I hope your Saturday morning is treating you pleasantly. I've got a note, rather than kind of exhaustively going through lots, and we used to do that originally with the kind of Saturday morning. We'd go through all the papers, we'd do a sort of slightly kind of big breakfast-esque kind of trawl through lunacy. But actually, what I find is kind of resonating more as if we home in on a couple of the kind of top stories. So today we're going to be looking into, is there any significance in the new tranche of Epstein files photos that have been released in the past 24, 48 hours? I've got some of those images to show you. Curious and interesting, always revealing to see people, familiar faces in amongst the photos with Epstein. But do they necessarily infer guilt, or do they merely infer a friendship or connection with someone that perhaps was a bit of a mistake? There is one particularly chilling photo that I'm going to share with you of Epstein himself. We're going to be talking also about teeny tiny Tommy Robinson's Christmas Carol concert. I believe it's today. I'm going to revisit his kind of declaration of putting the Christ back into Christmas. That's his mission. And I believe his Christmas Carol concert is happening later today, and it was originally going to be in Whitehall. So but anyway, the church, our conventional church, Christians have pushed back on this, and they've recorded their own message saying, don't believe the nonsense that Christ isn't in Christmas. Christ is in Christmas, and Christmas is everywhere. So we're going to be talking about that. Erika Kirk, Charlie Kirk's widow, has she turned to the dark side? I have a few clips from her interview with Barry Weiss, the Zionist stooge that was placed at the top of CBS by Trump. I've got her interview with Erika Kirk, and we're going to talk about that. And we're also going to have a little focus on Timoth Chalamet's junket promotional interview that he gave for his new film, Marty Supreme, that's coming out over Christmas, in which he plays a champion table tennis player. Or it's the ascent of him becoming, it charts the ascent of him becoming a championship table tennis player. And I just want to discuss whether what he says and how he presents his acting and his performance is arrogance or confidence. Are we missing a trick, us Brits, when it comes to blowing your own trumpet and hitting your own ping pongs, so to speak? Erika Demon Eye, says Francis Johnson. Now, I want to sort of say from the outset, I've just been bitten literally on my widow's peak. I want to say from the outset, none of this is about what happened to her partner, her husband. If it can be entirely, the narrative can be entirely trusted, of course, is catastrophic and awful. But that goes without saying. But there has been an evolution, I would say, to the kind of the public profile, if you like, of his widow, Erika Kirk. So we're gonna think about that. I like to start sometimes just with a meme. And does any fans here of the author Matt Haig? I follow him. He follows me. He's lovely. I just wanted to share this because I think he's right. He just posted this post. My conspiracy theory is that some of the most powerful and corrupt people on the planet are pushing AI so hard because a world where no one knows what is true only benefits liars. Discuss. You know what? I think I agree. I mean, if you're someone like Trump and you're sat there and more evidence is coming out of what you've said, what you've done, let's not forget his quote, about grabbing pussy and some of the really quite unpalatable kind of bits of interview that he's done on the radio regarding Lindsay Lohan. If you've got stuff out there that's clearly reprehensible and damaging, but you can actually allow a landscape of untrustworthy AI to develop everywhere. Of course, it makes things impossibly difficult to prove, or to kind of you can forever kind of fan stuff away and say, no, it's false, it's AI, and all the other of it. Fun Times Forever says, I read the other day that a teacher challenged her pupils to use AI to answer questions and then prove that the answer wasn't true. God, I don't think I can understand that, but I think I understand it. Sorry. I was thinking the same recently. It says Kimberly M. Jones. AI is diluting the truth. And yes, so of course it suits those who aren't telling the truth. It's a little bit like, I mean, God almighty, I'm not for a minute advocating CCTV, Big Brother, being monitored everywhere. Alison Barber says Matt Haig is a breath of humanity on social media. He really is. He's a great writer, a great turn of phrase as well. Yeah, I mean, I often say this thing of, in terms of safety, living in a city like London, if you're not doing anything illegal, you've got nothing to fear from things like CCTV. There's a different debate to be had about, the authorities knowing your every move, your phone seeming to send you a text whenever you walk into, I don't know, Pets at Home, and then suddenly you get a Pets at Home, all that kind of stuff. It's all a bit creepy. It's all a bit weird. We're always being monetized. Even our movement, even our kind of journeys across town are monetized. But yeah, there is that thing of, if you're not doing anything wrong, then you shouldn't really fear CCTV. But in this instance with AI, it's like, well, the more uncertain you can make everyone of everything, the more chance you have of excusing something that you have done wrong, or that there is evidence of you doing, by saying it's not real. But then I'm sure there's a huge industry, isn't there, of tech that kind of tells you if something's AI or not AI. I do know they do that already, don't they? You pass it through an AI detector. But what if the AI detector is AI? What do you do then? Gabrielle C6326 says, America is so corrupt, and at the top, no one seems to face punishment for anything. I mean, you can get away with absolutely anything. So as I say, we're going to talk about Epstein. We're going to talk about teeny tiny Tommy Robinson's Christmas carols. Is he putting the Christ back into Christmas? Erika Kirk turns what? Evil? And Chalamet's viral clip. So what should we start with? Let's start with Epstein. So these are the headlines that are on the front of some of the papers. House Democrats release Epstein photos with Trump, Bannon, Clinton, and others. There's one of the photos. Trump news at a glance. More Epstein estate photos released as White House decries Democrat hoax. Trump says new Epstein photos are no big deal, but claims he hasn't seen them. I do love that. I don't know what you're talking about. There's nothing in the photos, nothing in the files. I don't know nothing about the files, but I know the files, they're empty. I don't know the photos, but those photos mean nothing. I don't know who you're talking about, but she seems really nice. He kind of contradicts himself with every statement. Epstein latest, Trump says he knows nothing about photos after new images released, but they mean nothing. It's a kind of odd story, this, because me and Nance were discussing this as I made my coffee. There isn't particularly much here that's surprising in this cache of photos, or particularly that revealing. You're right, Robert Merritt. There's 95,000 apparently, 25,000 to go through, and some are said to be quite troubling. Now, there are some details in these that are incredibly troubling. So I'm just going to move through some of them. Here you have So again, you know, images, the problem I have with images like this, and I think when an image like this, which you've already seen attached to a headline, which is, for those of you listening, you've got, it's a party, it sort of looks like an arrival, Epstein in the middle, looking kind of, you know, always looking, Epstein always looks like he's knows something and he's about to say something. He really reminds me of something. I can't think who he reminds me of, and it's not Epstein that he reminds me of. But you've got Donald Trump on the left, really connecting eyes with a woman on the right, laughing, sort of overly hysterically, you could argue. And you just sort of, yeah, okay. But it's an event, but in and of itself, there's nothing incriminating in this whatsoever. Nothing incriminating at all. And I think there's a danger that when you have headlines like this, Trump music, more Epstein estate photos, and you have a photo like that, and actually the photo kind of is in no way incriminating in and of itself, I think we start to fall foul of the very thing I've talked a lot about, which is a feeling that the lady doth protest too much, or that Democrats are trying a bit too hard, or do you know what I mean? There's always the danger. And I think that Trump's kind of success story has been driven and motivated by his enemies or his opponents' desire to see him fail. And I think something similar could be happening with Farage in this country. If you go after someone too hard, you end up kind of making them feel like a victim and a martyr, and that works for them. This is one image that is particularly perturbing. I tried zooming in, but it digitally fell apart. The former White House aide Steve Bannon on the left in conversation with Jeffrey Epstein. The most troubling part of this, again, no surprise that Bannon and Epstein were friends, but there's a framed photo, I don't know if you can see, on the middle of the table. And I tried to zoom in on it, as I said, but it really did digitally break up quite easily. But the framed photos of a woman lying down. And when you do zoom in, and maybe someone wants to zoom in now, but when you do zoom in, it's not even of a woman lying in an obviously, her face has been redacted, but she's not even lying in a sort of obviously either seductive or relaxing pose. She's sort of at a right angle on a sofa. It's a very odd image. It's a very odd, very disturbing in its sort of, there's a clinical aspect to it. It's really, really weird. Here's another, again, this image. I mean, what? Okay, so the woman's been redacted. Trump's alongside her. The only thing you could say about that that's vaguely notable is it's on a jet. It's on a plane of some form, and Trump's tie is a little bit loosened. Here we have an image of, now there's a lot of images of Woody Allen. None of us are particularly enamored with Woody Allen anymore, but there he is with Epstein. Here's a photo that's, this is a black and white photo of Donald Trump posing with a group of women. Again, once again, yes, all the faces have been redacted. Now, I'm only being devil's advocate here, but the very act of redacting is what I think makes this feel deeply suspicious. Does anyone else agree? I mean, it's in and of itself, again, what I'm trying to say is this isn't to say that Trump isn't in this up to his elbows. Nor is it that, I agree with a number of people in this community have said, and I agree, and a number of people have observed, that whilst Trump might not have literally done anything illegal or improper with Epstein or through Epstein's facility, no, what do you do? And someone facilitates through Epstein facilitating anything. But Trump's value, Trump has always claimed he didn't know what Epstein was doing. And I think the best thing you could say about any of these images is, do any of them point to, well, Trump must have known what he was doing? And I think we all assume, given Trump's values, that he must have known what Epstein was up to. But again, in and of itself, this photograph, the only part of this that makes this really dodgy, I would argue, is simply the act of redaction. This isn't a particularly nice one. Trump condom, $4.50. I'm huge. These are all in the photos. So obviously some kind of gag or joke or whatever. Here's another image of Woody Allen. It looks like Woody Allen could be either filming or he's at a Steinbeck edit suite, and there's Epstein alongside him. This is just frightening. This is a printed instruction within a sex toy photograph in the cache. The jawbreaker gag. Failure to follow these instructions could result in injury or death. The instructions to a particularly dangerous choking sex toy. A glove which is itself a sex toy with ribbed fingers and thumbs. Bill Clinton, signed photograph there, kind of telling that kind of was published alongside that. Not very nice. This image for me is one of the most sort of sinister, and it's not helped by the fact that he's got the flash, the red eye flash of this is Jeffrey Epstein in the bath, pulling what looks like a shower curtain, or is it a waffle bathrobe, to hide his chest. But again, everything just feels seedy. It feels seedy and it feels horrible. And this is the former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak, who has been accused of all sorts of awfulness. It does make you feel utterly sick, doesn't it? It's a horrendous cache. But again, once again, I mean, let's have a listen to just briefly what Trump had to say about this in the well, some feel he is still alive and he's living in Israel. Sorry, I've literally been bitten on my forehead. Many think he's alive and alive and well in Israel. Who thinks he's still alive? Anyone here think that Epstein is still alive? Alive and well in Israel. Okay, I'm just going to play this clip. This is the very brief response that Trump had to the photos.
There were new Epstein photos released today showing you and also Bill Clinton, Steve Bannon. What were your reaction to those new photos that were released
Well,
today?
I haven't seen it, but I mean, everybody knew this man. He was all over Palm Beach. He has photos with everybody. I mean, almost, there are hundreds and hundreds of people that have photos with him. So that's no big deal. I know nothing about.
And also, let me just find, there is one other photo that I think I might have found. Just bear with me 1 second. A number of you were mentioning this other guy who himself is shrouded in sort of allegations of inappropriate behavior, etc. Let me just find it. Where is it? Oh yeah, this one. I'm just recovering this. I'm just going to send this to you. See what you think of this one. This guy who tragically lost his wife recently. But again, it's oh, I can't seem to find it. Where is it? Oh, here we go. This is Richard Branson. Some of you were saying Richard Branson is also in the files. So let me just pull this up. This is an image of Richard Branson with him and some other unspecified guy on what looks like an island. Epstein with Richard Branson and an unidentified man. Again, I haven't managed to zoom in to see what they're laughing at, but obviously they all had islands alongside each other, right? But yeah, Branson. And haven't there been stories of impropriety from Branson towards employees or women that he worked with? I'm pretty certain that did arise sometime in the past. So look, here's the thing. I think the Epstein files, unless something definitive and slam dunky is to be released, I think this drip effect is going to actually serve no purpose other than to make people think, well, come on, where's the actual smoking gun, or where's the gun? Because albeit that, clearly the likes of Woody Allen and Clinton and all this lot are all kind of embedded in with this guy, we haven't yet had anything that's a kind of what I would call, and I don't like using the phrase, a sort of slam dunk, if you like, of proof of anything. Should he be president when Dawny Harvey, hi Dawny, when he can't remember a bloody thing from his past? It's selective amnesia, I would call it. Branson is a creep. He wouldn't be so rich if he wasn't. It's all a distraction, says Hope, Love, Peace. Nothing will come of it. Yeah, it feels it. Yeah, and I think this is the kind of strategy of those who are in the files. Just keep paddling, and eventually it will go away. Okay, who needs to put the Christ back into Christmas? I don't know if anyone remembers this clip. I did play some of it, but it's worth revisiting because today on Whitehall, Tiny Robinson is scheduling a massive carol event. A carol service, he kind of put the call out for this some time ago. So let me play you this. This was when he just had a bit of a bout in the boxing ring.
Good morning. Yeah. My question is, will you be in London for the biggest carol service this country's seen. And you know what? This is the first year. We shouldn't have to put this on. There should be a Christmas carol service. There should be a massive Christmas event put on by our government. Did you see Poland's this year? Did you see Poland's Christmas market switch on? No. All the lights all lit in the colours of their country, the celebration, everyone in their capital city coming out for it. We want that, yeah? Well, this is the first year. We're going to organise it within 4 weeks. Unite the kingdom, put the Christ back into Christmas. Let's start focusing on our days. It's the first year. Wait till next year, the year after. We're going to do it every year. People will end up travelling from around the globe to our Christmas event. Guaranteed, yeah? This is the first year. Please come along. It's not a protest. It's not against anything. It's literally a celebration of Christ, a celebration of Christmas, a celebration of Christianity. Music, gospel bands, musicians, opera singers. We are going to have it all. It's going to be a beautiful few hours to come together with your brothers and sisters to celebrate Christ.
So let's just pause for a second. Has anyone told teeny tiny Tommy that Christ was A, Palestinian, B, would have probably looked like most of the people he seeks to have thrown out of the country, and has values that are much more aligned with socialism? Just wondering if he, in putting Christ firmly back into Christmas, whether he knows both who Christ was or is, how Christ looked, and what Christ's values were. But let's hear a little bit more, because he's not only looking to save Christmas, he's also looking to save Easter.
It's on the 13th of December. It's going to start about 2 o'clock, central London, probably around Whitehall, still agreeing the exact location with the police. But again, we're not protesting against anything. It's literally a celebration. Bible readings, music, celebration, beauty. It's going to be beautiful. Make your plans. Please come along if you can support it. Is it UTK Christmas? We're going to have a beautiful stage set up, beautiful. It's going to look beautiful.
So it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be putting Christ back into Christmas. It's beautiful. I mean, he says it's going to be beautiful. I don't know. He says it's not a protest. Who believes him? I'm not entirely sure I don't even know if he believes it himself. He's not entirely sure who's organising it, where it's going to be, and what's going to be going on. But let's just have a listen. I think in a moment he says, "Oh, Gabby, hi, morning from Zoe's flat." Here,
it's going to be beautiful. It's going to feel beautiful. So make sure you're
nice.
Here. And again, this is the first one. And we as a country and as a community need to focus on our important days. Christmas, Easter this year. We need a parade. Okay? They've stopped it. Our government has stopped everything. Everything's been cut back across the country. So we need to fill that space. And then they'll want to take it back from us. But they're not going to be able to. We the people for the people. First Christmas event this year. Make sure you're there. 13th of December. Start about 2 o'clock. I look forward to seeing you all. I'll be there celebrating, peacefully enjoying Christmas.
Peacefully enjoying. I don't know why him saying peacefully enjoying Christmas in front of a boxing ring, sweating with his veins popping at his temples, and him peacefully don't even say I'm not doing it peacefully. I'm doing it peacefully. I don't know why I feel it's a protest. I do, but he's saving Easter. So we've got the unedifying prospect next year of potentially teeny tiny Tommy bouncing away at the front of an Easter parade dressed as the Easter Bunny. Hey, fucking hell. He's going to save Christmas. He puts Christ back into Christmas, and he puts cunt back into country. He's just brilliant, isn't he? I mean, what? Thanks, teeny tiny Tom. Thanks. Bouncing around like a nut job. Christ into Christmas, cunt into country. I mean, as in literally, I'm not swearing. You take the the syllable. Anyway, so this is clearly, I think, an attempt by him to harness or hijack, religion as a means to nationalize Christianity, radicalize Christianity, try and develop some kind of hostility and extremism via religion, again, through the auspices of something kind and collaborative and social. He wants to somehow spout his kind of poison, if you like, in a sort of pushback of sorts. The Church of England has pushed back, and they've released a 43-second video as senior church figures speak out against the dangers of Christian nationalism. Now, I'm loath to show this and say it's cool, but it's sweet. It's diverse, and it represents a multiple of faith, of different looks and hues to faith, a Christian faith. But I do want you to just keep your eyes peeled for one of the women who appears in this. She has what looks like Boris Johnson in a baby carrier around her front. At first, I thought, why is she carrying Boris Johnson?
Stories that somehow Christmas is being cancelled.
Or that somehow the joy of Christmas is under threat.
It's news to us because in every church,
every parish,
every cathedral,
in every corner of our country,
you will find a story of hope
and love.
you can find Christmas.
In a candlelit carol service proclaiming the good news from the angels.
In a Christmas service with baby Jesus.
in open-air carols in the streets.
It's Christmas.
It belongs to us all.
And everyone's invited.
Whether you've been going to church for 50 years
5 minutes.
or have never been before.
Come and spend Christmas at a church near you.
Now, I found myself in a church the other day, well, a couple of months ago. I found myself in Southwark Cathedral, and I'm possibly going to find myself in a church again this weekend. I'm not religious in a conventional sense, but I do find them useful and important places to stop, pause, and think. There's great value and great worth to religion and churches that are inclusive, etc. I did want to just say as well, I think this guy, there's one guy in there. Let me just, I'm just going to hit it up without volume so I can find it. There's a guy in there who I think is actually the priest who gave the sermon at Southwark Cathedral, which was very good. But I just wanted to say, yeah, that I thought at first was Boris Johnson. Why am I in a papoose. Yeah, I'm in a papoose. As I watched it, I couldn't help but feel this was some kind of strange caricature. Was that AI? So, look, and also, I'll tell you what I did want. I wanted to really kind of know, let me tell you who I thought was so cheerful. I thought he was like straight this guy here. No, hang on. Where is he? The farmer. Him. My God, I like the cut of this guy's jib. So happy with his cattle. I want to hang out with him and talk spiritual stuff. Anyway, infinitely more preferable company, I think, than necessarily hanging out at the edge of a sweaty boxing ring with the smell of Viagra in the air. I saw another photograph here. In fact, do I have? Oh, here we go. Look, here's the headlines. Church of England responds to Tommy Robinson's Carols event with Christmas is for all message. We've just seen the Christmas is for all. Church of England responds to fake outrage that Christmas is cancelled ahead. I mean, has anyone felt Christmas cancelled? We're still celebrating. I don't feel like Christmas has been inched out of the schedule. I mean, Vlogmas is happening and Christmas is around, and everywhere I go, there's people playing tubas in train stations and such like, carols being sung. But there's a couple of images here. Look, there's this one, there's that one, and then, oh no, maybe I didn't bring it in. Anyway, there was an image where I saw Tommy Robinson at the front of a kind of march, and the four men all around him, they look like their heads were about to explode. Has anyone seen that film by David Cronenberg, Scanners? There's always the slight concern, though maybe for some it would be the hope, but there's always a slight concern that his head might literally pop. There's so much veinage going on. It's sort of visceral, isn't it? There's this tension, deep vein tension going on in that protuberant head of his. Anyway, so let's hope it goes. Let's hope it's not a protest. Let's hope it's I presume, and I think we may well on Monday be showing you clips from the Christmas Carol service that puts Christ back into Christmas, just like Tommy, as I said, puts cunt back into country. Let's just go to something light, shall we, for a moment? Let's go to Timothée Chalamet. Now, any fans of Timothée Chalamet here? I'm going to lay my something on the table. Timothée Chalamet. I don't like every film he's in, but every film he's in, I have to say, I have never ceased to be amazed by how he delivers an absolutely astonishing performance. Now, I'm not talking about what's happened to him since he's become part of the Kardashian movement and all that kind of stuff, but I'm talking about from things like Wonka to obviously Call Me By Your Name to the Bob Dylan biopic. He's incredibly incredibly thorough and good. He's an incredibly class actor, and I say that because Wonka and say Bob Dylan, they're two classic films that I would never ever in a month of Sundays have enjoyed, but I enjoyed them simply because he gave them everything. And the new film that he's in, Marty Supreme, in which he plays I think it's a true story. Anyway, it's directed by one of the directors who directed Uncut Gems. Brilliant film if you haven't seen it. And everyone's talking about the possibility of him being nominated for an Oscar again for Marty Supreme. He plays it's the sort of rags to riches journey of a guy who's a table tennis pro. And lots of plaudits for his performance. Timothée Chalamet. If you don't know who he is, you may recognize him when you see him. Anyway, this clip of him promoting the film and talking about his performance has kind of gone viral because people are like, "Whoa." There's one group that say, "Fucking hell, let others blow smoke up your ass, Timothy." But others are going, well, "He knows he's good. He knows he's like a sportsman, put in a really big performance, and he's just acknowledging it." So, is this arrogance or is this confidence? That's what I want to know.
You always
that
speak
said,
truth.
Like, this is probably my best performance, and that it's been like 7-8 years that I feel like I've been handing in really, really committed, top of the line performances. And it's important to say it out loud because the discipline and the work ethic I'm bringing to these things, I don't want people to take for granted. I don't want to take for granted. This is really some top level shit.
Some top level shit. What do we think? Yeah, thank you, Deborah. It is a bit Jedi, isn't it? I don't know. Let me try a Jedi mind trick. Everyone at some point has tried to move something, haven't they, with the power of thought? I'm trying to move that light. No, it's not working. What do you think, guys? Arrogance? Let me play it once more in case you missed it.
You always
that
speak
said,
truth.
Like, this is probably my best performance, and that it's been like 7-8 years that I feel like I've been handing in really, really committed, top of the line performances. And it's important to say it out loud because the discipline and the work ethic I'm bringing to these things, I don't want people to take for granted. I don't want to take for granted. This is really some top level shit.
So he says of himself, this is some top level shit. It's interesting to see your comments. Fun times forever. Seems like confidence to me. Typical American. It is very American, yeah. Wait, says Jen na. Wait, is he method acting still for a new part? There was also in support of this film, he also uploaded I think it was a parody Zoom call between him and the PR team for his film, in which he performed a kind of lunatic kind of PR person, or he performed himself. So there is a kind of possible thought here that he's gone into method so far that he's still methoding sort of his supreme kind of perfection and ability. Not much humility, says Janina M. I still don't know him. That's okay. You don't need to know Man Campbell. He has high self-esteem, which is good for me. This is interesting because I'm curious to know what is it about that makes one go, because I've watched it a couple of times now, and each time I watch it, I think, and also actually, what am I trying to say? On the one hand, I think if we heard that from a sports person, do you remember Tim Henman? Was it Tim Henman? Is that his name? No, not Tim Henman. Is that the Scottish guy? When tennis players talk about their game, they talk about themselves in the third person, how expert they are, how brilliant they were, or how bad they were. And we don't ever question it. You just go, okay, well, sports, you have to get it to a high level, and he's could he not be adopting the same attitude? I seem to remember him giving a speech when he won some Writers Guild Award or something, where he said something similar for a previous film that he was in. It might have been the Bob Dylan film, where he was quite sort of, this is skill, and I'm at the top of my game, and I'm pumping it out, and I'm hitting the ace, and da. But why do we find that? Why is supreme Marty Supreme? Why is supreme confidence in self seen as something that we go? Because I find it a bit. But then I think, oh no, but all your performances have been very good. Sarah D says he's been around Kylie too long. Maybe he's less confident, says Carla Hatcham, on the inside, and perhaps therapy has helped him, but unfortunately he comes off as arrogant, which is sad, and he'll grow from it, hopefully. I mean, he's had enormous success at a young age, but I wouldn't find this as difficult to judge or decide my feelings on if I didn't think that actually he, unlike many other actors, really does work hard at banging in really great performances. But maybe this is another example of let's watch the actor act rather than hear them talk. And I'll share this anecdote, which I've shared many times in the past. But years and years ago, filming at the Cannes Film Festival, I think was it a film? I can't remember the name of the film. But anyway, it was a film in which Robert De Niro was starring alongside Sylvester Stallone. We managed to get a very brief standing interview as they were kind of coming out of a press conference at Cap d'Antibes with De Niro and Stallone. I think they were both. Was it Copland or something like that? Stallone, interestingly, Sylvester Stallone was incredibly affable, chatty, gave stuff. Robert De Niro, I nearly fell to pieces as I had the opportunity to ask him 2 or 3 questions. I asked him a question. He was so boring and he didn't know what to say. He was like, it was a pretty standard question about, what drew you to the role or whatever, something very unoriginal. I was young and I was petrified. And I just remember he just stood there and he was just kind of like, I could see him really clawing for thoughts and ideas. And I thought, oh my God, but you're Robert De Niro, you're Taxi Driver, you're Travis Bickle. What's going on? What's going on? So maybe it's a case of you should act, but not talk. And to be honest with you, many performers say, we don't want to do the whole PR side of it. We just want our work to do the talking. But maybe it's just a bit too serious. Who knows? Okay, let's move on to Erika Kirk. I've got some clips here of Erika Kirk. Can I just ask you all, as we enter our final topic, Erika Kirk is the widow of the late Charlie Kirk. And I think it's really important to say that more and more people are asking questions about the accepted or received narrative that's being promoted about how Charlie Kirk died, who was responsible, Tyler Robinson, the shooter, etc., etc. More and more people are asking questions and challenging the narrative here. And Erika Kirk is widow. She's become the CEO now of Talking Point USA. And she was being interviewed this week by Barry Weiss. Now, the reason Barry Weiss is significant, she is, I think, the head of CBS News. She was kind of installed or put there by the Trump regime. She is an advocate for Israel, Netanyahu's Israel. She is an apologist, if you would like, for what has happened in the last 2 years, the genocide. She's been put there and she's in that position, controlling CBS to make sure that CBS no longer covers the Israel-Gaza crisis in a critical of Israel stance. And the reason that's significant is there are many, many people who feel, though it's not been yet proven, and just because it's not been proven doesn't mean it's not the case, that there is potentially some Israeli intelligence connection with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We've talked a lot about this. Candace Owens has talked a lot about this. Tucker Carlson is increasingly talking more about this. And even Piers Morgan is beginning to ask serious questions, not only about this assassination attempt, but also even the assassination attempt allegedly on Donald Trump's ear, which interestingly, I think I just want to remind everyone, if you think about how vengeful a person Trump is and how much he goes on about things and goes on about his achievements and nobody does nuclear better than me, nobody has a bigger mouth than me, no one has smaller hands than me. He's kind of stayed quite tight-lipped and quiet, hasn't he, about his ear piercing. Anyway, so here's some clips of this is Barry Weiss interviewing Erika Kirk, and something happens in these clips. I found them so watchable, and I thought, oh, let's share them with you guys. See what you think. So I haven't named them, so they might land in not quite the right order. But here's the first one.
It's God, then I rest easy in knowing that He's sovereign, but He's just, and so let the Lord handle that. We serve a just God, then I rest easy in knowing that He's sovereign, but He's just. And so let the Lord handle that.
Fucking hell. Anyone else get chills? I mean, I'm not having a go at people with blue eyes. My mum has blue eyes. My granddad had blue eyes. I like blue eyes. But sometimes some people can have blue eyes that are so chilling. You can feel hell freezing over. I love that. Is that a phrase? I think it is a phrase. hell has frozen. Imagine freezing hell. Let's just watch that one once more.
It's God. Then I rest easy in knowing that he's sovereign, but he's just. And so let the Lord handle that.
Okay, so that's particularly creepy. In this next clip, she talks about, or Barry Weiss. Now, this is why it's important to know that Barry Weiss is an apologist, Zionist apologist for Israel's genocide. Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, many members of MAGA and Trump's followers have said, hang on a minute, Israel controls everything in America, politically, financially, in politics. Why are we sending all this money? Why are we sending all this support over to Israel? Hang on a minute, there's something up. They're asking questions. Candace Owens is one of those people who's asked questions. So it's no surprise that Barry Weiss is asking Erika Kirk about how she feels about Candace Owens.
Dr. Candace Owens, okay? At one time, a friend of Charlie's, at one time, an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now?
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
God, I'll be tuning in to see Candace Owens' response to that, or maybe she's already responded. Here's one more.
One of the most alarming things about Charlie's murder was the way that some people in this country reacted to it.
Yeah.
And not just online. This was an idea that you encountered a lot. And the idea was this. They kind of justified it. They basically said that because Charlie said or believed things that they believed were controversial or even hateful, that he somehow had it coming. What do you say to people who justified his death?
You're sick. He's a human being. You think he deserved that? Tell that to my 3-year-old daughter. Excuse me. You want to watch in high res the video of my husband being murdered and laugh and say he deserves it? There's something very sick in your soul, and I pray that God saves you. I pray, because that is what is so wrong. The internet in this world has dehumanized us.
Now, in the spirit of moral clarity, no one should have jumped around with joy at the death of her husband, but it's I mean, I can't work out if the reason her talking about anything feels so sort of strange, because it's so sort of unlike anything I think I've seen anywhere, really. Yeah, going back to her point on the previous quote about that Barry Weiss made, interestingly, head of CBS not interested in making money. Isn't that weird that you would home in on Candace Owens for making money? Everyone's making money. Everyone's trying to, CBS are, Donald Trump is, Talking Point USA is. Thanks for saying that, Fun Times Forever. So I think to use that as some kind of reason or rationale for, she's monetizing and peddling lies, you could argue that's exactly what Israel has done since October the 8th. So it's just curious, isn't it? It's just curious. But I just really feel that independent media must not let up on the strangeness of what's happened with Charlie Kirk, or the process, or what's gone on. And even if Erika Kirk is asking everyone to shut up, be quiet, step away, there's something not adding up for me about the speed with which and ease with which she has managed to, in a sense, step into the breach and look after things. And I think the other day we showed a clip where she was kind of, shaming women and saying it was, don't be a sort of, she's exploiting her freedom as a woman of a certain kind of, class and sort of professionalism. and using her position to say to other women, don't do that, basically, just stand by your man and all that kind of stuff. So I just feel that the whole Charlie Kirk thing is something that we're being encouraged to think and treat as conspiracy theory laden, because the likes of Candace Owens is talking about it. And just because Erika Kirk is saying, look, everyone, just shut the fuck up, I don't think everyone should. And so the final clip I want to show you is Theo Von talking to Tucker Carlson about Charlie Kirk, because I just think this topic mustn't go away.
Charlie Kirk assassination that rubs you the wrongest, do you feel like?
About the investigation into it?
Yeah. I mean, it's the whole thing with the kid and the images, and then they see him at like a Dairy Queen. Some of the, it's just like, it's all so confusing. You can't decide what to believe. But also the fact that it doesn't feel like there's any presentation from the FBI or something about reality. So it feels like it's internet sleuths filling in all the pieces. What do you think?
I've called directly to say that, just as an American, as a friend of Charlie's who is interested in seeing justice and is interested in preserving our system beyond this year. Like, if you want the system to continue, you have to satisfy people that the system is real. And if they're convinced that it's not real, at some point they'll overthrow it. That's just going to happen. Okay. Here's what I am concerned about. One, he acted alone. Tell me how that worked. That's not my default assumption, and it shouldn't be yours. And their default assumption was we acted alone. Really? Why do you think that? What about life suggests that people typically act alone? So A. B, we know that people had foreknowledge of this because they posted about it on X and said Charlie Kirk is going to be killed on this date, and he was.
Is that true?
Yes, it's true.
Like, were they just guessing? Was it a guessing thing where every day
like
they posted that?
Maybe. Have those people been interviewed? Have they been hauled into FBI HQ and had a long conversation with how they knew that? Like, let's get really specific. Why did you post that? Who have you talked to? Like, if I was doing this investigation, they would be at the very top of the list. We know, because we've got public postings on Twitter, that people know, just like on 9/11, we know people bet against American Airlines and the banks that were in the World Trade Centers. They shorted those stocks. Those people clearly had foreknowledge of 9/11. Who were those people? We still don't know. So I would start there.
But so you're saying that just the fact that there could possibly be some foreknowledge should be investigated?
Well, there was foreknowledge because I saw the tweets. And so I saw at least two that said, everything's going to change when Charlie Kirk gets to the college in Utah.
Okay.
So those people, I'm not saying they're a part of a conspiracy, but there's evidence that they had foreknowledge. Okay. So that's where you begin. And then I could go on. Like, tell me how this guy who seemed normal became a radical trans furry murderer.
But was that the guy or his boyfriend?
Well, exactly right. Tell me how this guy became so radicalized that he murdered a stranger. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm saying I want an explanation for how it happened. Why wouldn't I?
I agree.
Oh, we can't talk about that because it'll, prejudice the jury pool. Really, you've told the world that you have both a confession from him in his text to his boyfriend and the murder weapon with his fingerprints on it. I think you got a pretty solid case. So why is it so difficult to just explain? But there's no attempt to explain how this happened. Like, that's the key question we all want to know. Yes, I know Charlie Kirk was murdered by gunshot. Got it. Saw it. Why?
Nothing he's saying there do I disagree with. And I think, Alison Barber, you ask it very simply. Why is she, Erika Kirk, asking less questions than Candace or Tucker about her husband's death? Why are we being asked to accept some really quite flimsy two-dimensional evidence of so-called text exchanges, a so-called trans partner of the shooter who has now since vanished, some alleging he or she was an entirely AI creation? Tyler Robinson still his legal team has been basically imposed upon him. The whole thing is extraordinarily shrouded in mystery, and yet curiously, of all the people involved, Erika Kirk is asking the least questions. I find it strange. I find the desire and the hurry and the speed with which they all want to get past this, including Erika Kirk, deeply suspicious, deeply perturbing, and it seems odd and strange that we now have at the head of Talking Point USA, this hugely influential far-right, youth-orientated kind of movement. We now have someone in the form of Erika Kirk who is less likely to be critical of the Israeli Zionist agenda. It's curious, isn't it? Okay, guys, there you have it. So in 5-10 minutes, we're going to be going live in the kitchen. Thank you so much. Keep your comments coming in. Keep your thoughts coming in. And we will see you very soon. Grab yourself a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, or a bottle of gin. And we will see you in the